Okay, have you ever been in that situation where someone's interest in you just blows hot and cold? One minute they're all in, showering you with attention, and the next, poof, they vanish. Well, today we are going to dive deep into the psychology of this super confusing and honestly way too common dating behavior, breadcrumbing. I mean, doesn't that just hit the nail on the head? That feeling of being constantly on edge, right? Where you have just enough hope to make you stick around, but absolutely no security to ever feel relaxed. If that sounds familiar, I really want you to hear this. You are not imagining it.
All right, so let's start by putting a name to this whole frustrating experience. We're going to give it a label and a clear definition so you can spot it a mile away.
So here it is, the official definition. It's all about those random, non-committal, but oh so enticing messages. You can think of it as a form of emotional manipulation, whether they're doing it on purpose or not. The goal, for them, is to keep you emotionally on the hook, to keep you as an option without ever having to put in real effort or, God forbid, offer any kind of commitment. It's basically the ultimate emotional loophole.
So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, does any of this ring a bell? That random hate text that comes through after weeks of total silence? The endless flirting that never, ever leads to an actual plan? Oh, and my personal favorite, the way they disappear for a while and then, like magic, reappear right at the exact moment you're about to finally move on? It's a whole pattern, and it's designed for one thing, to keep access to you without any of the responsibility. So we've covered the what, but the real million-dollar question is, why? Why do people even do this? Look, understanding the motivation behind it is honestly the very first step toward taking your power back.
Okay, so the first big driver is often what's called an avoidant attachment style. And what this means is that they might genuinely want connection, they might even tell you that, but the second things start to feel a little too real, a little too intimate, a deep-seated fear just kicks in and they pull away. Their behavior isn't about you or your worth. It's 100% about their own internal battle.
Motivation number 2? It's all about brain chemistry, actually. This whole pattern of uncertainty, the hot and cold, it creates these intense emotional highs and lows, and that releases dopamine. It's a scientific thing called intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines in Vegas so incredibly addictive. Turns out unpredictable rewards are way more powerful than consistent ones.
Now, another huge factor here is their ego. And this might be tough to hear, but a lot of the time, breadcrumbing has very little to do with you and everything to do with their need to feel wanted. Your attention becomes their supply of self-esteem. It's a quick, easy hit for them to feel desirable, and of course, to keep all of their options open. And finally, it really just comes down to a fear of accountability. I mean, think about it. A real relationship takes consistency, it takes effort, it takes clarity. Breadcrumbing is the perfect way to avoid all of that. It lets someone get all the emotional benefits and validation without having to take on any of the actual responsibilities. For them, it's low effort and zero risk.
Okay, so we get their why, but what about our why? Why are these mixed signals so powerful? Why do they hook us so deeply? Let's unpack the psychological trap that keeps us so invested.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. The core issue here is something called cognitive dissonance. It's that mental whiplash you feel when you're trying to hold two completely contradictory beliefs at the same time. On one hand, yeah, their words can be so warm and flirty, but on the other hand, their actions are flaky and non-committal.
And guess what? Your brain hates that contradiction. It absolutely cannot stand it. So what does it do? It goes into overdrive trying to solve this impossible puzzle. You start analyzing every single text, you overthink every little thing they do, and here's the irony. You often end up trying even harder to win them over, which just gets you more and more emotionally invested.
And that deep investment? It leads us straight into what I call the trap of hope. So let's talk about why it can feel almost impossible to just walk away. Because trust me, there are very real psychological reasons at play here.
So there are 3 major traps we tend to fall into. First, if you lean toward an anxious attachment style, you might mistake all this inconsistency for, passion or mystery. Then there's what's called the hope bias. That's where we focus on their potential and those few amazing moments instead of the mountain of evidence that shows they're just not available. And then there's the most damaging one of all, self-blame.
This thought right here. This is the real poison of breadcrumbing. You start to take their inconsistency personally, and you believe it's somehow your fault. You think, if I were just smarter, or funnier, or more attractive, then they would finally commit. And slowly but surely, that just eats away at your self-worth.
So let's be crystal clear about something. This isn't just harmless flirting. This is emotional destabilization. Living in that constant state of uncertainty, of not knowing where you stand, it keeps your nervous system on high alert 24/7. And over time, that doesn't just feel bad. It actively lowers your sense of self-worth.
So, the big question is, how do you get out? How do you break this addictive, exhausting cycle? Well, that brings us to the most important part of this whole thing, the power shift. It is time to reclaim your control.
Okay, here are 4 real actionable steps you can take to get your power back. Number 1, watch their behavior, not their words. Their actions are the truth. Consistency is the only language that really matters. 2, stop rewarding their inconsistency. When they send that lazy late-night text, you do not have to reply. Your energy is precious. Teach them that minimal effort gets a minimal response, or even no response at all. 3, ask for what you want clearly, but only do it once. You can say, hey, I'm looking for something consistent. Their response, or their silence, is your answer. Do not chase them for another one. And 4, and this is so important, regulate your own nervous system before you do anything else. When you feel that spike of anxiety, go for a walk, call a friend, do whatever you need to do to calm down first. You want to make your decision from a place of clarity, not a place of panic. You've got this.
In this right here, this is the ultimate reframe. The next time you feel that old familiar confusion creeping in, I want you to remember this sentence. This whole behavior isn't actually about confusion. It's a very clear strategy on their part to keep access to you without having to take on any of the responsibility. It's a choice they are actively making.
And that brings us to the final takeaway. A mixed signal is actually a very, very clear signal. It's a no. The only thing that makes it feel mixed is our own hope getting in the way. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Are you ready to stop listening to the breadcrumbs of their words and start trusting the clear, loud message of their behavior?